All right. Well, good evening, everyone. It is 7 o'clock. And I'm Smith Prim. This is Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship. I want to welcome everyone here tonight. Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. If this is the first time you're here, we want to welcome you. And if you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Smith Prim. I am the co-chair for the Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship, along with Catherine Smart. Our mission here is you. The reason that we are here, you are the reason that we exist. Our mission is to help you develop and enhance your spiritual, mystical, metaphysical awareness and consciousness. We do that by sponsoring programs like this one tonight that are designed to facilitate personal growth and development and a holistic and spiritual approach to health and to living. We'd love to hear from you. Again, we're very glad that you're here. And if you have any suggestions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. We have an email at info@spiritual-frontiers.com. I want to remind everyone, tonight's program is recorded. So if you do not want to be visible in the recording, please take a moment just to turn off your camera. And also stay muted while the speaker speaks. So I'd like to introduce tonight's speaker. Tonight's speaker is Lyneah Marks. The title of her talk is The Stargate, A Higher Way to Consciousness. Lyneah Marks is a certified Stargate facilitator and soul integration therapist. She lived in the Triangle for 28 years before moving to Mount Shasta, California. She had just been to Mexico for a few weeks of some additional training, and I believe that she will share that with us tonight. Lyneah owns Body, Soul, and Angels, which has been in business since 1996. She has been a natural, intuitive, and spiritual healer since childhood and began offering conscious, energetic healing after a near-death experience in 1976. Tonight, Lyneah will share with us, will tell us several things. Will share with us several things. She'll tell us what the Stargate is and introduce the various concepts about it, including the Stargate Collective field. She will explain how the Stargate can help us and heal and raise our own consciousness. She will lead us in a special Stargate meditation. And at the end, she'll be available to answer some questions. Before Lyneah speaks, I have just a couple more announcements that I'd like to make. First, SFF will continue to offer these Zoom presentations. We think it's an excellent way to share metaphysical and spiritual messages, not only to our immediate community, but also to anybody interested to join us. So please give a shout out to SFF and invite your friends, family, both near and far. Share our newsletter, share our meetup, share our Facebook and Instagram, however you want to spread the message. We really are on a mission to serve others, to help make the world a better place. And you can join in that effort. Please mark your calendars for our upcoming meetings the first Thursday of every month. To learn more about our upcoming speakers, visit our website, spiritual-frontiers.com, and look for announcements via email, Meetup, even Eventbrite, Facebook, and Instagram. All right, so back to our program. Tonight, Lyneah is going to speak from 7:15 approximately till 8:35, and we're going to take a 10-minute break, just like we always do. And after that break, we'll come back, and Lyneah will finish her talk, and we will have a question and answer period. So now, please sit back and prepare to enjoy the fascinating presentation from Lyneah Marks. Take it away, Lyneah.
Thank you, Prim. It's Smith, Mr. Prim. I'm really excited to be here tonight, and thank you for the wonderful introduction. I also want to mention that I have two books out, Thirsting for a Raindrop and Thirsting for Joy, and they're both available on Amazon, and we couldn't figure out a way to create a link so that they would automatically pay some money to SFF. But if anyone decides, as a result of tonight's presentation to go ahead and purchase one of these, I would be happy to make a donation. So you just have to text or email me to let me know that you picked up one of the books or both of them. So the first question is, what's a Stargate? And the first answer is what it's not. It's not a movie. It's not a science fiction. It's not TV, show, book, play, cartoon, any number of other things where it has shown up in the media. This particular Stargate is a sacred geometry form that is here to help us in our ascension process. The physical Stargate, you can see one here, you can see one here. This is a 6-inch Stargate, and the one behind me is a very large Stargate that you can sit in. And that's quite an experience during one of the intensive meditations. And the physical presence of the Stargate helps to focus the energy of the Etheric Stargate, which is the consciousness of the Stargate. And the consciousness of the Stargate is all you need. You don't need a physical form. A physical form is nice to have, but it's not necessary. The Stargate is also a process, and we'll go through that process tonight. After the initial talk, we'll do a meditation. And it is a community. The Stargate has been growing quite a bit in the last year. And we now have thousands of people around the world. And here we have Pregeet Harris, who is the founder of the Stargate. He was originally told to create the Stargate, but before that, he actually drove 20 people on a bus from England to India, and there are many amazing stories. He's a really interesting person. He's spent over 30 years helping people grow spiritually. He channels Alcazar since 1989. The Alcazar Collective is a group of spiritual beings who are here to help us with the ascension process. There are beings that have already gone through the ascension process. Pregeet downloaded the instructions, just general instructions, go build a Stargate in 1989. But he asked for blueprints, he asked for drawings, he asked for details, and Alcazar was not providing any. Alcazar just said, go get the materials and start, you will remember. So he, in faith, went and got the materials, and he would run his finger along the pipe and he would hear stop, and he would cut it there. And this is how he built this incredibly complex piece of sacred geometry. Halfway through, he ran out of money and he didn't know what to do. So he was in Maui and he went to the beach. And in the parking lot of the beach, a young man came up to him and started talking with him and asking him what he was doing. And he said that he was building this Stargate and he'd run out of funds. And the man said, well, I've been looking for somewhere to invest some money in something that will help with our spirituality. So after a short conversation, he handed Pregeet the money to complete the Stargate. And this is kind of how Pregeet's life goes. It's most interesting. There's more information about Pregeet. If you Google Cryon Pregeet Harris interview, Lee Carroll interviewed Pregeet, and it's quite an interesting interview. It's on YouTube. And this is a direct quote from Pregeet. Many years of experience have demonstrated the Stargate is a very powerful tool that assists people in overcoming their limitations and realizing their highest potential. And I have definitely seen the reality of this in this community over the past 2 years. In 2012, 23 years later, Julianne Conard joined the Stargate experience. She started channeling Alcazar spontaneously. She had been to an intensive here in Mount Shasta, And she was living in Sacramento, went home, and she just couldn't stay away. She had to come back. So she called and asked if she could meet with Prageet, and she did. And when they were meeting, Prageet felt Alcazar's presence coming in, but it wasn't coming in for him. And Julian started channeling. So it wasn't long after that that they started working together, and they generally do the Stargates together now. Julianne was interested in alternative medicine, and she shifted to helping people through the Stargate. And she has been given a healing energy, a quantum healing energy called the essence of life, which is quite beautiful. I have completed her training with this, and I just love this energy. Julianne is also interested in building a spa and a healing center, which very much interests me. And we have 22 acres that the Stargate has purchased here near Mount Shasta in a town called Weed. And you can imagine there's lots of t-shirts and jokes about the town of Weed in California. And there are many of us who are working with the project of that 22 acres. There's lots of work that needs to be done. We are currently clearing the land to bring it up to fire codes, to trim off all of the branches up to 6 feet high is quite a job when that 22 acres is mostly woods, and not just woods, but huge, beautiful spruce and pine trees. So the Stargate itself is quantum consciousness. It provides an energetic that eases our connection with the quantum field and with our quantum selves. The physical Stargate is an anchor for this consciousness, and your intention brings the consciousness in. You must request the consciousness to come. It will not impose itself. It will only come when it is requested. The Elohim Council oversees the consciousness of the Stargate, and sometimes they will come into the Stargate meditations, and their presence and their energy is most interesting. Prageet studied in India with Osho, who said that all the world needs is 10,000 Buddhas, then the world would be transformed. So we're talking about 10,000 awakened, enlightened beings. And 10,000 is not that big of a number when you think of how many people there are on the earth right now. So the Stargate is working toward creating some of those 10,000, bringing awareness, higher consciousness to those who would sit in its presence. My husband and I were just in Puerto Vallarta, and we had 90 people in the Stargate training. A part of the group was people who had already received the training, like myself, and we were assistants. And the rest of the group, there were about 50 new Stargate facilitators worldwide, and they were from so many different countries. We had a young man from Japan who was great fun. He hardly spoke English, but he was very warmly embraced by the group and asked to do things like run the microphone around, which he was very happy to do. And as we embraced him, he started speaking more and more. And he is going back to Japan to take the work there. There were people from the Netherlands, Spain, Brussels, Ireland, Brazil, Portugal, Czech Republic, Turkey, Mexico, Chile, the United States and Canada. There was quite a large group in Mexico, and just such a lovely feeling of heart through the whole gathering. So how did I find the Stargate? Well, I started out in North Carolina. I lived most of my life in North Carolina. I was a transplant to begin with, but I've lived in North Carolina since 1982. And back then I had red hair, so some of you might remember me as a redhead. And I had a student who had moved to Arizona, and she and I were working by phone. And every week she said, I need my teacher out here. She's from West Texas. And every week I said, you live in an oven. I'm not coming out there. If you want to see me, you've got to come back to North Carolina. I don't do desert. So she was disappointed, but she persisted. And then the month before my birthday, she said, I'm sending you a ticket for your birthday. You're what? I'm sending you a ticket. You're coming to Arizona. I said, not before October. This was before I consulted the weather service to find out what the temperature was like there. It was 105 when I got there. I went there to visit, and I had no intention of staying there. I'm really not fond of desert. I like green leaves on my trees, and I like water in my rivers. But on my way back on the airplane, my guidance was I was standing on a mound of sand, and it was blowing out from under my feet. And the sun was behind me, so I knew it was going to the west. And I watched it for a while as I was kind of in my vision, ka-chunking down, and the sand was blowing away. I said, what does this mean? And the answer came very clearly. Your support has moved to Arizona. If you want to feel supported, you must move. So I did. I moved. And what we ended up doing, it's much too long a story for this presentation, but we ended up creating a medicine wheel around the city of Phoenix by flipping houses. And once we had done that, the energy had shifted and we were free to come back. Our work was done, so we returned to North Carolina, where there's water. And I was very grateful and loved Duke Gardens, and moved back to a place that was close to Duke Gardens. And while we lived in North Carolina, we ended up doing quite a bit of earth healing work, which was a great deal of what Arizona was about, learning. And Joseph Asterita and I had connected back then as well. And we joined in an earth healing trip to Panama. Joseph was on that trip. And my husband and I went to France and Switzerland. I went to Hawaii with another friend. And we did a lot of regional healing work, working with ley lines. And that was a lot of fun. But then we were very, very strongly guided to this piece of property in West Virginia. And as you can see, it wasn't a beautiful piece of property. It was kind of rough around the edges. And what we found out was that this property was the back door to an ashram that has 78 men who meditate around the clock. And there are ley lines. Joseph identified the ley lines. I had texted him the coordinates. And generally, when Joseph texts me back about coordinates, it's 1 or 2 words. This time he sent 10 different texts back. La, 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 and all kinds of information about the 8 sacred sites that had ley lines that were converging on this piece of property. Well, it turns out the piece of property was owned by someone who was an alcoholic and a drug addict. And we were there basically to rescue this piece of property. He had not paid his drug dealer, and the drug dealer came and took it out in glass. So there were shards of glass all over the property. And in feng shui, that's definitely killing energy. So all of these ley lines converge on this ashram, and then the ashram is to the east of this property, and the ley line continues to the Washington Monument. So it was a pretty important piece of work to complete. So one of the ways that we completed that work was by building this wall with great love. Since I first heard about them, I wanted to try a stack log wall. I didn't end up doing the whole thing with stack log, just the one wall. And all of this wood was from fallen trees. We didn't have to cut any tree to build this wall. And I just love doing this work. I love working with wood. My husband worked the cement mixer and I worked the wall, and that worked out well. And some of these pieces are flat and protrude into the room and create shelves. And I put candles on them, so at night it has that beauty to it. And once this wall was done, I could feel a shift in energy, and that was nice. We also brought a medicine wheel from Arizona back to North Carolina and then up here to the property in West Virginia. But my husband was working remote and his job was ending. So he started looking for another job. And he finally found one after many fails. And he said, "Oh, this is great. It's exactly what I need. It's exactly what I do. It's what I've been looking for." And he talked about it so long that I was beginning to wonder. And I said, "Where is it?" And he answered shyly, "Carson City." And I said, "Carson City, friggin' Nevada?" And I knew that we were moving to Carson City, back to the desert again. I'd been to Carson once, but it sure was a long way away. And within 3 weeks from the day that he applied, he left to go there. They wanted him to work there right away. So I found this sign when we got to Carson City and realized that it was going to be the theme song of my life now. I had been accustomed to living in one place a long time, and that part of my life seemed to be over. And then I discovered that just up the mountains, the Sierras, um, it was not a desert. It's actually Lake Tahoe, one of my favorite places in the world. Little noisy. Absolutely gorgeous blue water. So we started going up there. Let's see, how do I get it to the next slide? There we go. Little less noisy slide about Lake Tahoe. And we started attending the Unity Church there. That was our guidance to go up there rather than attending the one in Carson City. And we made good friends there. And they invited us to go to the Diamond Springs Healing Center, which was on the other side of the Sierras toward Sacramento, California. And this is Diane Boussard, who is the founder and the operator of the Diamond Springs Center. And we went for a shamanic healing session, which was really lovely. It was a group session, but there was this great big metal thing in the center of the room. And I asked, "What is it?" And people would say, "Oh, it's a Stargate." And I'd say, "What's a Stargate?" And they wouldn't answer my questions. And I felt really, really attracted to it. And the whole rest of the time, nobody would talk to me about it. So I left thinking I need to go back there. So I did. I went back for another session, and it turned out to be something other than the Stargate. I went back 2 or 3 times, and then I asked, "When are you doing the Stargate?" So they gave me that date. And in the meantime, my husband's contract at Carson City ended, and he found another job, and it was in Fremont, California. So we're coming further west into the south end of the Bay Area. And we found an apartment, and I was very happy that weekends we could drive to the coast. Oh, that's really loud. Sorry. And we had plenty of water to go to in short order. But we ended up being in Fremont for a mere 5 months. And it was supposed to be a year contract. It got cut to 6 months. And by 5 months, my husband had finished his work and the contract ended. And we were kind of like, well, now what do we do? And just waiting for guidance to come in. Nothing was coming in. So we did a meditation and we went back up to the Diamond Springs Center and we went for the Stargate. And it was a wonderful experience. And I knew that I wanted to work more with this structure, that it had something very special about it. So no new job opportunities. And we did a meditation on January 1st, asking what's next. And it became very clear that we were to buy an RV. We'd been talking about purchasing an RV, which I thought would be a good idea with all the moving we were doing. It would be an easier way to move. I thought, it's not that much easier. But by the 14th of January, we did purchase Betty Lou, a 32-foot RV, and we have lived in her ever since. And we drove out of the Fremont area to a place called Clear Lake, which is in the central portion of California. Very beautiful lake, and we were right across the street from this. But the lake itself had been quite polluted by mercury mines around the lake. So there was a lot of earth healing work that needed to be done here. And we were guided on what to do, how to help the lake, and did so. And the week that we moved here, the world closed down. COVID hit, and we were to shelter in place. And everybody was trying to bring fear in and to keep us home. And in the beginning, we kind of did stay home until we figured out more of what was going on. And while we were sheltering in place, my daughter's a professional photographer, and she had said to me, "You take good photos, but your camera's terrible. So get yourself a good camera." Well, I did. And I spent my time photographing birds mostly. These two hummingbirds are the same hummingbird. One is in the sun, the other one's in the shade. So there's no reflective colors in the shade. And up here, there's an osprey, and there were many, many osprey around Clear Lake. So I really enjoyed getting to know the birds there. White pelicans, I'd never seen them before. And these guys in the front are called grebes. And this particular heron, I had a hard time getting close to him in the beginning. But as we went along, I got closer. And eventually I was able to say to him, this would be a much better picture if you would just move over in between those two posts. And he did. I don't know if he heard me or if it was my imagination, but he had gotten to the place where he wasn't afraid of me. I could get quite close to him. So that was fun. And then Stargate started a program on Zoom, as has happened for many, many organizations across the way, including SFF, and somebody needs to mute. There we go. Okay, so the Zoom started bringing us to the Stargate, and we learned that there were Stargate meditations online that we could tune into. Some of them are free, some of them are pay. And they started a program that was quite reasonably priced called an Oasis of Oneness. We both felt very attracted to this, and it was 30 days in a row of Stargate meditations. I was excited about it, and it was wonderful. It built day by day. The energies are accumulative in the Stargate. The more you do it, the more you experience with it. The deeper you go, the higher you go. And we were listening to the Oasis, and I had found out that there was a Stargate intensive in Mount Shasta, and I wanted to attend it. So did my husband, Mark. And it was full. So we were listening, and Prageet Harris announced that there were training openings in the training program. Well, I had not considered taking the training, but a hand at my back pushed me really hard, about 4 inches forward, and said, apply. So I did. And I didn't know what I was getting into exactly, but I knew that it was really clear guidance that I had to follow. So we packed up our RV and went to Mount Shasta for 2 weeks and attended the intensive, which we were very taken with. And then I did the training to become a Stargate facilitator. And there's me getting my certificate. You can see how big the one is in the background here. This is at the Stargate home. It's a 12-foot Stargate. And this is my little guy. So they come in many different sizes. And we decided while we were here that, we have wheels for a reason. And our guidance was to move to Mount Shasta. So we went looking for a place, found one, made all the arrangements, went back to Clear Lake and moved to Mount Shasta. And this is one of Mark's photographs. I love the wings on the mountain. But the mountain is not without its challenges. This year, it actually made front page news on the Washington Post because it was snowless. The snow completely melted off on the south-facing side. There's still glaciers on the north side. But this is basically our water tower. It's our water source. So it's scary for it to have absolutely no water on it. And this year, of course, we also had fires, and the fires came very, very close. Too close, scary close. Those colors are from smoke there. And we were guided to this area to put a medicine wheel there. And we did. And we brought compost out and buried it around the area to feed the trees. But this area burned very seriously. And this is the mother tree. She is the one tree that was left. Abner Weed was the lumberman who moved into this area. And he started clear cutting and he continued for 20 miles, never stopping, never leaving anything but the tiniest little trees. And this mother tree was the baby. She was a sapling when Weed came through in the early 1900s. So we are continuing to take water and love out to the mother tree, hoping that she will survive. She's not dead. She has some life left to her. And we're working with her, doing healing energy work on her. But the good news is that as a result of this, I started asking, why am I here? Why do you have me in the midst of all these fires? And what can I do about it? Well, the Tuesday night meditation group started working on it, and we had some really good success with limiting some of the fires. But there's 2 million acres that have burned in California. It's absolutely astonishing how much land there is here. But the good news is that we put a group together to do the biodynamic sequential sprays. And when you do them in a leaf day, they will bring rain. And when we left for Puerto Vallarta, we had rain and we got some snow back on the mountain. So she wasn't bare when we left. And while we were in Puerto Vallarta, it rained just about every day. The mountain yesterday looked like this. We have several feet of snow on the mountain now. And the rains have been gentle. They have been persistent and soaking, and they're exactly what we needed to break a drought. So this is the good news. And after I became certified, I approached a group that I've worked with for many years on Tuesday night and said, I'd like to change this to a Stargate meditation. And the group said yes, and we've been doing that ever since. And that is a free meditation that you're all welcome to join. Susan Hunter has joined us, and we've been very happy to have her energy in on this meditation. It is one that will nourish you, and we also serve Mother Earth through it and the people of the earth. And I don't know why that's there, individual sessions by appointment, but it is. Okay, welcome to being super conscious. The next program that we participated in is this one. And this is an amazing bargain, actually. The Superconscious series is 14 days a month, and then you repeat them for the other 14 days of the month. Another part of the Stargate family is the Stargate Collective. And this is a place like Facebook, but it's a private network, and you can request to join it once you have started working with the Stargate. And you can meet people from all around the world. And the reason that I have been really excited about working with the Stargate community is because of the Stargate Global Community Morphogenic Field. We just call it the Stargate Morpho Field for short. And here is an image that is kind of how I saw it 2 years ago when I started working with Stargate. It was kind of not congealed. There were energies forming, but not yet formed around Mother Earth. And as I have worked with it over the past couple of years, I've seen multiple colors on different days when we work with the field. And now I see the field looking like this. It has grown, and the pandemic forcing us to go on Zoom has created a much larger community. It is truly a global community now. And thousands of people get online to join each other daily for Stargate meditations. And every time someone does a Stargate meditation, it contributes to the morphogenic field. You, as a participant, can also tap into the morphogenic field, and you can receive energy and support from the field. And we will try to connect with the field tonight during our meditation portion. So the Stargate is a consciousness. It exists in the quantum field. The quantum field is the vastness of all there is. It's the place of darkness, of no thing. It is all that is, and it is the vast potential. I have been told that the translation in the Bible where it says in the beginning, there was the void. And I have heard that another translation could be, there were the swirling potentials. So the quantum field is a place of swirling potentials. And in the quantum field, there is only now. So when you participate in the recording, for anyone who is listening to this as a recording, you will receive the same transmissions, the same energies that we received tonight in the live meditation. They will be there for you on time and easily available. And what kinds of results are people reporting? People report that they feel lighter. Some say that they have more joy in their lives. Some say that they experience new energies or start to experience energies when they haven't before. Many people have released old stories, limitations, pains, blocks, and they have released with relative ease. Shut down senses can be awakened or amplified through the use of the Stargate. And again, not all of these happen with one Stargate meditation. It is an accumulative effect. So the more you do it, the more you will experience. And some people, it's taken them a year or two to get to the place where they experience energies. Those who haven't already. Some people have experienced miraculous physical healings. Other people, emotional releases, increased senses, the clair senses. I love what Julianne calls the olfactory sense. She calls it the clair smell sense. People experience increased awarenesses, understandings, dissolving of problems, sometimes immediate, but most often accumulative results. When we do the Stargate as a meditation, I will be asking you to ask inside for the Stargate, the energetic Stargate to form around you. I'll be asking you to activate it. And these things you need to do because the Stargate will not come if you don't invite it. If you don't ask it, it will assume that you don't want it to work with you. So in the steps where I ask you to ask inside, that means that you're giving permission for the Stargate or the guides to work with you. Some people feel the presence of their guides stronger than usual. And on certain occasions, it's very strong. We had a lot of lenticular clouds here in Mount Shasta, and people were laughing about the spaceships going into the mountain. And there were more than usual. And we did an intensive that weekend. And Prageet called in the masters, and it was so palpable. I've worked with the masters for years now, but their presence was stronger than ever. And then he informed us that the masters were having a meeting in the mountain. So sometimes with the Stargate, it amplifies things. During the meditation, it's really good to close your eyes. You probably already all know this, but I mention it, that if you open your eyes, it activates your mind, and your mind will start chattering and keeping you from going into a really quiet, deep space where you can get the most out of the meditation. So it's good to keep your eyes closed during the meditation. And then beyond that, there is nothing to do. And that can be challenging because we are trained to be doers and get out there and get it done. And this is just sit and enjoy the energy, relax. The more deeply you relax, the more the energy can work on you. If you let your mind try to direct the energies, it can actually interfere with the highest potential for the meditation. So after activation, giving permission, there's really nothing to do. Just relax and enjoy. And some people feel resistance when we start with the Stargate process. And just be aware of that. Notice it. And when you notice it and acknowledge it, very often it will just let go. And some people get triggered by the presenter or by the situation, or there can be a number of things that can trigger you. And again, awareness often allows easy release. If not, we do have techniques that you can go into. Some of the wonderful deep work with the Stargate is inner child work, where we go back and help our inner child heal from the many hurts and pains that we've had through childhood. And individual sessions can help if the meditations are not taking you to where you release. then an individual session can often be very helpful. So now you know some of the possible outcomes, and that's all good, but right now you need to let go before we go into the meditation. Let your expectations go. Expectations can interfere with your highest potential. So they can also interfere with relaxation. So just be open and relax. So the process is closing your eyes and relaxing, nothing to do but to invite. And we will first ask for a connection with Gaia, Mother Earth. And I'll guide you through the steps to activating the Stargate around you. And we will be taking the Stargate to the 12th dimensional frequencies. And your body will quite naturally align with those frequencies without your doing any work. So now we are going to go into the meditation. And I'd like you to take a few deep breaths and just center and feel if you're totally present. And allow yourself to digest all this information that has just come to you. And just pull yourself back from the future, from the past, from the sides into the presence of now. And ask inside for Mother Earth to connect with you. So each of us will ask inside for a connection with Mother Earth. So we call upon Gaia, Mother Earth, to connect with us, to come up around us, to hold us in her arms. And just feel how she responds to your request. Nothing to do, just being present and noticing that we are always in Mother Earth's field. And allow yourself to harmonize with the vibration of Mother Earth. You might even ask, please harmonize me with your current vibration. Mother Earth is accelerating daily. And when we are not in harmony with her vibration, time can feel out of sync. When we simply align and harmonize with her vibration, time slows down. And next, we will invite the presence of an etheric stargate. So I ask each of you to ask inside for the presence of an etheric stargate. We call for the presence of etheric stargates around each and every one of us. And just feel how it comes at your request. A gentle, energetic shifting. You may or may not feel something, but it is present. And if
you are not able to imagine the entire Stargate, just imagine a pyramid. And now we will activate our Stargates, physical and etheric. And I ask each one of us to ask inside for the activation of the Stargate. We call for the activation of each and every Stargate. And just feel how it gently starts to vibrate at a higher frequency. And just relaxing and allowing as the Stargate here also activates the physical Stargates. And we call for the physical Stargates around the world to activate and join us. Your Stargate vibrates gently, faster and faster, up through the fourth and the fifth dimensions, gently increasing its frequency. And the fifth dimension into the sixth, and at the seventh, we come to a pause, and everyone will arrive at their own rate. And here at the seventh dimension, I ask each one of you to ask inside for a strong experience of the seventh dimensional energies. And just feel. Here they come. And gently, you harmonize with the energies around you, these seventh dimensional energies. Bring your energy up to that level. Slowly, slowly, a gentle process. And once everyone is present at the seventh dimension, we will ask for the Stargate to vibrate faster and faster again. So we call for the Stargates to vibrate faster and faster up through the eighth dimension, into the ninth, the 10th, into the 11th dimension, just feeling the shifting, supporting you, carrying you up into the 12th dimension, where we pause. And each of us asking inside for a strong experience of the 12th dimensional energies. And you might feel tingling in your body. You might sense the shift in energies. You might have a knowing that you are here at the 12th dimensional level, where it is easy to perceive the angelic realm who are waiting to be invited in. So I ask each one of you to ask inside for a strong presence of the angelic realm. We call for a strong presence of the angels. And here they come with their loving support, holding space for us in our process. Michael, the archangel, is present. Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Azrael, many, many angels coming in. We ask for those that are right action to work with us today, to come form a circle around us. Support us with your energetic, your beautiful energies. And we thank you. Great gratitude. And there are many angels that are special to each one of you. And just notice and honor them as they come in. And we form a circle. And they form the part of the circle around us. We thank you. And next, a realm that is easy to access from the 12th dimension is the realm of the masters, those beings who have walked the earth and mastered physicality. They are here to assist us. So I ask each one of you to ask inside for the presence of the masters. We call for the presence of the masters. And as soon as we ask, they come. Many masters, Babaji, the Buddha, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Master Hilarion, Saint Germain, Adama, Yeshua, Anna, grandmother of Jesus, Sanat Kumara, Lady Nada, and these masters come forward and they form the next part of the circle. And just feel how they bring an energetic of compassion, of love, of support. Feel their caring for you. Feel their connection with you. Just allow. And next, we call for the presence of these star families, these races of beings from other planets who have also gone through the ascension process, who are here to assist us. And the first is the group of the Pleiadians. We welcome you asking inside for an experience of the presence of the Pleiadians. We call for a strong presence of the Pleiadians. And we thank you for helping us. And next, the Arcturians asked to join us. So ask inside for the presence of the Arcturians. We ask for the Arcturians to come and join us in this meditation, to bring their help and their guidance. And just feeling their presence, their support, that they are cheerleaders, cheering us on, letting us know that we're doing great work here on the earth. And they are here to support us. So you can call on them for assistance. And the next group that wishes to join us are the Lyrans. So we call for the presence of the Lyrans, each of us asking inside for the presence of the Lyrans. And just feel. And the next group to join us is the Elohim Council, a very specialized group of angels who oversee the Stargate work, and they join the circle. Welcome them in your heart. With gratitude for this gift that they have given us to assist us on our way. We thank you for your presence and for this gift. And next, a tall group of beings known as the Council of 10 bring with them the energy of the peace that is beyond logical understanding. So we ask inside for the presence of the Council of 10. And you might feel a wash of peace come over you that allows you to relax even deeper. Only benevolent beings at the 12th dimension. No others can survive here. And the last group we will invite as a group is the Galactic Council with its representative Biodynamic. And Biodynamic is giving off an energy of excitement. And she has a message. And her message is, you're so close. You are so close. Many of you have come a very long way through many lifetimes, difficult lifetimes. And now you are coming close to completion, to the completion of your tasks, where there's nothing to do. There's just being and creating and choosing and playing and being with each other. Pay attention to the changes that are happening in your earth. Many, many beautiful changes are occurring. Focus on these changes. Focus on being in the field, creating the new future. And now ask inside to connect with the quantum field and to connect with your quantum self stronger than you have to date. And in the quantum field, look for the Stargate morphogenic field and connect and become aware of how we are contributing to it and it is contributing to us. Feeling this sense of hopefulness, allowing it to lift your spirit. And now Bayonetta would like your permission. And all you have to do is say inside, yes, please, or no, please, or if you don't answer, she will assume that it is a no, thank you. She has frequencies from the Galactic Council for each and every one of you. These energies are provided individually for what you currently need. And she will start the transmission as soon as you say your form of yes. And the transmissions begin now. Allowing yourself to float in the quantum field. Nothing to do. And a gentle energetic is coming into your field. It is an energetic that is designed specifically for you, for where you are at right now on your path. And she continues to carry this feeling of, well done, well done. Each of you has contributed greatly to the shifting of this planet. And we honor you and give you gratitude for what you have done. We want you to know that your sacrifices through the ages have not been in vain. But it is no longer time to live by sacrifice. There is a great flow, and that flow is available to you. Feel yourself connecting into it, a flow of love, a flow of resources, a greater flow of friends, true, deep, heartfelt connection friends. Receiving the energetics that the councils are sending to you. Allowing yourself to relax a little deeper. And now there is an energetic of integration coming in. It comes in the form of a lemniscate, an infinity symbol. And it centers in your heart, harmonizing your heart with the heart of all. Feeling connected, supported, and loved. Feeling nourished. And continuing to receive. For tonight, this meditation will be all about you receiving this nourishment. You are all people who give a great deal. And tonight is a time for you to relax into the nourishment that the universe has for you. Nothing to do. And now there are specific guides walking up to each one of us and offering an energetic into a part of you that is in need. Connect with your guide. And take in this lovely energetic that is here to support you, to nourish you, to rejuvenate you. To bring a sense of peace into all the cells in your body. And just considering the possibility that all is well, just as it is. You may have some kind of limitation coming up. Just hand it over to the guide that's working with you and ask for it to be transformed. Looking into the eyes of your guide, feeling your guide's presence. Receiving, feeling very nourished, very full, very taken care of. And now I'm beginning to see colors being radiated to each one of you. The color that is the exact hue that you need. And it might have a tone with it. It might have a feeling. And Bayonetta returns, thanking each and every one of you for being here tonight. And she informs us that there will be much to be in the near future, that we are the rocks in a way that will hold the energy for peace, for love, for unity, for oneness, and for us to have it strongly in our hearts that it is the way to be. Mutual love and support, recognition, encouragement. Just spending 5 minutes a day in this state of believing, feeling, knowing that all is well will contribute greatly to the collective energies. And becoming aware of the other groups who are building beautiful collective energies around the earth, and noticing how they intersect with the Stargate morphogenic field. And just notice how large an impact this field has on the world, especially when it joins with other like-minded fields. It becomes quite large, quite powerful. And now, slowly turning your attention to your body again, feeling yourself in time and space, and feeling the changes that have already occurred during this meditation. The field has already changed. It has grown. And we thank you for contributing to this growth. Becoming aware of your physical body, and becoming aware of your surroundings, bringing as much of this energy back with you as is right action. And when you are ready, gently, softly open your eyes into soft focus, seeing how much of this energy you can keep with your eyes open. Just sending a closing gratitude to all of those who worked with us tonight. We are grateful for your support, for your love, your encouragement, your enrichment. And if you wish, you can ask your guides to continue to work on you in sleep later tonight. And they will. But coming back, feeling the room around you, and we will be taking a break. So stretch, move around, and we will be back soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Lyneah. That was beautiful. So we're going to take our break now, and it's going to be 10 minutes. It's 8:32 is what I have. So we will be back in 10 minutes. Does that sound good, Lyneah?
I think we can handle 10 minutes. We'll see.
Okay. And if you want to leave your Stargate image for or this one, that's fine. Either one is fine.
Okay. This is the one I planned for the break.
Okay. See you at 8:42.
8:42. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Lyneah, it's been a while.
For the superconsciousness, you choose your level of support, and it's as low as $14 a month. And for that, you receive 14 meditations a month, and you receive access to over 100 meditations that have already been previously recorded. And what a lot of people do is they join, they start in with the live meditations, which are going on right now. We're on the third day tomorrow of this month's series of meditations. But you gain access to all of those previous meditations. So it's quite a bargain. It's also translated into 9 different languages. So that's all I had to say there.
Okay, thank you. And I
I'm-
wanted to mention as we go in, are you ready to do the question and answer?
Yes.
All right. So for tonight, we're going to change our format a little bit. I'd like to folks to be able to ask her a question directly. So I'm going to turn on the ability for our participants to unmute themselves. But in the chat, if you could raise your hand, and Lyneah, can you pull up the chat, and then you can call on a person and they can speak to you and ask their question, and then you can, and then we can go to the next person. Let's try that.
All right. Let's see. Chat.
So participants, as you have a question, please raise your hand, and Lyneah will identify you, and then you can ask your question.
Questions, comments, feedback on the meditation, feedback on the presentation, anything would be welcome. All right.
And I do have a chat from Catherine. Catherine, did you want, I can read her Catherine Smart, right before you said you might feel tingling, I was starting to tingle. Along the way, I felt joyful, but also had some human moments relating to an ongoing problem.
So that's from me, Lyneah. I wish I could see you. I don't know what's wrong with my screen.
Thank you for sharing, Catherine.
Yeah, but that was that was on the spot right there, and it opened up a lot of joy. But I have an ongoing problem, and I felt myself struggling a bit. And then
that is typical. Actually, it happens a lot when we get to a depth. There's stuff that has to be released for us to be able to go further. So that stuff just comes up in our face. I've been doing a lot of release work since I left the intensive, and I'd be happy to help you with that. That's what the individual sessions are about, is helping you. If you have something that doesn't just release in the session, if it's something that's been persistent for you, then an individual session can help to bring that up and to resolve it.
Right. Thank you. I think Lauren's got her hand up.
I'm not used to this hand up business, so sorry, I'm not.
Smith, can you unmute Lauren?
Lauren, just go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, I did. Hey,
Hey,
Lyneah, that was
hey, now I know I'm in North Carolina. Thank you.
yes. I'm in North Carolina and loved the presentation. The stories were great. The pictures were perfect. The meditation was amazing. It was very deep and timely with all the sensations. I wanted to ask a question about a friend of mine had mentioned the Stargate and the dates, like the 8th through the 11th of this month, something like the Stargate's opening at that time. I came on a little bit late. I don't know if you mentioned that already, or can you speak to that?
It depends on which Stargate you're talking about. Are you talking about a celestial Stargate?
It might be, yeah, he's an astrologer, so it may be.
Yeah, it's probably an astrological, and I'm not an astrologer. I dabble a little bit, but I don't know about this particular Stargate. There have been several others. There's one coming up that I've heard of that's 1212 that is about Atlantis, and there's a portal opening for transmutation of old Atlantean problems and fears and such. I don't know if that's the one you're referring to. That would be on December 12th, but you're saying 8.
Maybe he said the 12th. He was just saying a particular date, and I didn't hear anything mentioned in the presentation, so I didn't know what that meant.
I'm sorry, there's lots of other things that are called Stargates, and I'm not up to date on all of them.
Okay,
So
that answers my question. Thank you. I hadn't heard of Stargate or researched it, so I didn't know there were other ones.
there's one Stargate that was called the Lions Gate that happened not too long ago. And if there's somebody online here who's an astrologer, please feel free to share. It may be something that I hasn't come into my consciousness yet. But thanks for your sharing, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, looks like we have 2 people. Alice Howe has a question. Alice, do you want to unmute and ask?
Yes, I can do that. I missed the first couple of minutes, and I probably missed when you were talking about the actual physical Stargate that has been built. What is it made of? It looks gold in the pictures.
Well, it's made of various things. I have one here that is gold.
Okay,
It's
beautiful.
isn't it beautiful? And you
Mhm.
can see just how complex that geometry gets in the top of it. This one is, it's a good size, but it's a very difficult size to take on an airplane because it doesn't collapse. The one behind me is titanium and copper, and it's 9 feet tall. Is that right? I think so. I think this one's 9 feet. And this one comes apart and it goes into a remarkably small box. I was amazed when I saw Prageet with the box. It was about that wide and then, you know, the length of the longest of the pieces, and another box for the connectors. And he takes that through the airport. And this one travels. This was in Puerto Vallarta with us last week.
Wow. So is what it's made of important, or can you make it of anything?
You cannot make it at all. There's only one builder that is licensed to make the Stargates. The large Stargates, the only person who makes them is Prageet, because there's a particular energetic that has to go into it. And he hasn't found people who can do it. There have been a couple of Stargates made by people imitating it, but they haven't worked well.
Okay.
So this is one of the smaller Stargates. This is my personal Stargate. And I got a piece of azurite in the top. I don't know if you can see that. It's a really nice blue piece of azurite.
Mm.
And anything you put in there is going to be activated by the Stargate, and it's going to be amplified by the Stargate. And I chose azurite because when it's
useful for amplifying intuition. And when Edward Casey was feeling he was losing his intuition, he went off to dig azurite. So I figure it's a pretty powerful stone. So you can purchase these. They even have little ones that you can wear as a necklace. They're small. They're on the Stargate experience, Stargate experienceacademy.com. There's a whole list of the various Stargates that are available.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for your
Thanks,
question.
Alice. And next, it looks like Carl he typed a question in the box, but did you want to speak your question, Carl?
Either way, you can just read what I typed.
Okay, very good. So Carl his question was, can you say anything about the sacred geometry of the Stargate form? I was trying to understand the possible connection to Merkaba and hypercubes.
No, is the answer to that question, really. I've heard some things, but I am not that knowledgeable about sacred geometry personally. I've heard Prageet talk about it, but I've not retained everything he said. It is a connection to the Merkaba. He mentioned that in one of our meditations in the intensive recently, but I cannot speak to the geometry and the connection between the two. I'm really sorry about that, Carl, but it's not my field. I don't know if Joseph is here and if Joseph could speak to that.
I did not see Joseph in our group tonight.
He couldn't come tonight.
Okay.
All right. And Catherine asked an additional question in the chat. Lyneah, did you say that you can imagine the Stargate and it works?
Absolutely. You don't have to have a physical Stargate. You can just ask for the Etheric Stargate. And I find the Etheric Stargate to be very powerful and all I really need. I bought the small Stargate mostly to have to show to other people and to bring it with me when I travel. I live in an RV, as you know, from the presentation, so I don't have a lot of space for a big Stargate, but I am blessed to have access to the Stargate office here where we have this large Stargate. And this one just appeared under the desk today. So I was able to show you that one, which was really nice. There's also a Stargate available in a globe. It's laser cut and it's in a globe, a glass globe. But you
Cool,
don't
thank
need any of the Stargates to work with a Stargate. You just ask for the Etheric Stargate. It's a very powerful consciousness, and as you work with it more and more, you will develop a relationship with it. You are also allowed to place Stargates over other people's homes or over people who are ill, because the Stargate will not provide anything that is not allowed by that person. The Stargate doesn't impose anything on anyone. And there have been many, many stories of miraculous recoveries for people in the hospital when people have put Stargates over them. Difficult neighbors, you can put a Stargate over their place. And sometimes you can just observe that they're not as difficult in a short period of time. So relatives too.
All right. Well, I have a question, and it was about. So I loved how allow that is so valuable to me. I think in early meditation, I was really trying to force it. Like, there's got to be something happening. Where's the relaxation? Where is the focus? Where is it? And it's just just allowing is such a great thing. But as you were describing the different dimensions, and this is my question. Can you give any descriptive information you might know at this point, or is it different for everyone passing through those dimensions? What are some, as we were passing through the different levels, I have a concept of what that is for me. Is there a different concept, or is there something else I should be aware of?
I don't know of anything standard. That's a good question. I don't know of anything standard at all. Everyone does have their own perceptions of the dimensions. I have a lot of connection at the 9th dimension. I have a crystal that came to help with the work in West Virginia that we were doing, and she says that she's a 9th dimensional being that manifests in this dimension as a crystal. And she's a beautiful Lemurian seed crystal, quite a good sized crystal. And her presence is at the 9th dimension. I feel it. I feel the same kind of presence as I feel from the crystal when I'm working with the crystal. And there seem to be other beings there that I have a personal connection with. So I have my own experiences at the 9th dimension. And sometimes when I'm doing a Stargate for myself, I will stay at the 9th dimension longer before I go to the 12th dimension to communicate with those beings. So each one of us probably has different connections, possibly different aspects, which are manifested in another dimension. So you may feel kind of a tug as you're going through the dimensions that there's somebody there who wants to talk to you. You can always go back and check in and say, okay, who is this? And what is my connection? Like the mermaids, the dragons, the unicorns all exist on other dimensions. And Prageet Harris has an aspect that's called Ron. And when Ron comes in the middle of a meditation, you jump. Ron is very loud and a gravelly voice, and he's a dragon. And he speaks from the dragon realm. And there are quite a few people who say that they've actually seen the dragons manifest on Mount Shasta. Now, I've been asking for 2 years, but I haven't seen a dragon yet. I would really I want to see the blue dragon. There's supposed to be a blue dragon up there. I think that would be so very cool.
Thank you very much. I have one more question. I'm looking, there's not a hand up, so I'm going to ask a second question. And it was about protection as you with the Stargate. So a lot of the metaphysical practices that I've worked with, there is an initial protect yourself, protect the person that you work with. And I was wondering, does the Stargate do that for you automatically?
The Stargate absolutely does not do that. The Stargate is based on the assumption that there is oneness. And in oneness, you don't need protection. And this is something that's taken me quite a while to come in line with because I was, discernment girl. That was the first thing I taught in my classes was you got to know who you're talking to and you got to state really clearly who you work with, who you won't work with. And as long as you're dealing with the 3rd dimension, I think there's truth to that we do need to be discerning. We need to pay attention. But Prageet recommends, if you're walking in Walmart, don't put up protection, put out love. If you put out a strong enough field of love, that is protection. And that is putting out an energy of unity, an energy of togetherness, rather than protection and closing off and not being part of the oneness consciousness. Does that make sense?
It does, and that's a great clarification.
And at the 12th dimension, there are no beings who can come in who don't have our highest good at heart. Only benevolent beings can appear at the 12th dimension. So Prageet says that there's no need for protection. As a matter of fact, he warns against the protection concept because it's an us-them concept. It's a duality concept.
Very good. Very good. Who else has a question in our group?
Those are really great questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
it's so nice to know people were listening and thinking about it. Susan, I can see that. I can't see these hands over here in this box.
Yes, I see Susan.
Hard to read, but Susan, yes.
Hey, Lyneah, thank you so much for coming. That was an out-of-body experience for me. It always is. So I really appreciate what you're doing. It's very powerful for me. And my life, actually, since I started working with that, and I've been very busy lately, but it really, my whole life has shifted quite a bit. I don't know exactly, maybe it's just time, but who knows the exact cause. But my question is because so they have just virtual workshops now. They don't have any in-person workshops at Mount Shasta, because I've been to Mount Shasta, and it's a very powerful energy place to have a workshop like this. And I was just wondering if they were going to plan this maybe in the next year or so to have an in-person.
Well, there's already a Thanksgiving workshop, but it's completely full.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's too soon,
And there's not another one. The next major one I know of is going to be in Slovenia. And I've set my intention to be there. I so enjoyed the Puerto Vallarta experience. That was all in person. I mean, there were 90 people in the room, and we were all working together, and the chairs were sizzling. It was just such amazing energy. And at the end of the intensive, we created a sacred geometry form. Prageet brought in 4 young women to sit inside of the Stargate. This one behind me is big enough for 4 small people to sit in. And he picked someone from Turkey, someone from Czech Republic, someone from the US, someone from Mexico. And they sat inside, and then the women created lines out in the 4 directions from the corners of the Stargate. And then the men created a circle. Well, maybe the circle came first. The circle came first because it was protecting the women inside of the Stargate. And then came the lines. And then there were people, the few women who were left were around the edges to help move the energy out of the room when we built it. So we had just come out of a very deep meditation. We formed this geometric structure, and we started raising energy stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And you could just feel it generating in the room. It was beautiful. And at one point, Prageet said, I'm going to count down from 3. And at 1, you're going to shoot out the energy. So he did the countdown, and boy, you could just feel the wave go through the room and around the world and back. It hit itself and came back several times. And the intention for this energy was to create an energetic that was supportive of all of the young people born and those coming in who are coming into the earth at this time. And it was really interesting because before this meditation, the children were not looking at us. There was no eye contact. And I kept noticing that it was so unusual. Even if you would say hola or ¿cómo estás? They wouldn't really look at you. They keep their eyes down. After we did that meditation, I had eye contact with every child in the place. Just a matter of hours difference. So that energetic has already really done some work.
Thank you.
So it's very exciting to be part of this.
When is the date of that next workshop?
April, I don't know. Mark, do you know the dates? 25th through the 29th in Slovenia, which is supposed to be very beautiful and fairly reasonably priced.
Thank you.
It's on a lake. I don't think it's on the sea, but it's on the lake. It's on the sea? It's on the Adriatic? Okay. I thought it was on a lake, a little inland. I don't have all the details. I'm still whirling from getting back from Puerto Vallarta. Oh. in our hotel in Puerto Vallarta, the staff were all trained to put their hand on their heart when they greeted you. It was just beautiful. And even people we didn't have language with, we worked really hard to communicate, and it was just such a heartfelt space. It was very lovely. And that's just with the staff. Other hands?
Yes, other hands, folks.
Well, this is a quote from Alcazar. Alcazar quotes are something that you can sign up for on the Stargate, and they bring excerpts out of past channelings of Alcazar. And I just really thank everyone from my heart for coming tonight, for hearing the presentation. I hope it was at a pace that was easy to digest, and that the slides kept you awake, and that you enjoyed the meditation. And I look forward to working with some of you one-on-one. And do send me a text or an email. Text is the best way to get my attention. I get so many emails that they can get lost. With your email address, and I will send you an invitation to the Tuesday night meditation if you would like to join us. It takes place at 8:15 your time, 5:15 Pacific time, and we go until 6:30 our time, 9:30 your time.
Yes, I had the opportunity to experience that this week. That was great.
Appreciate you attending.
I will be back as well. I wanted to mention too, while we've got just a moment, and we do still have time for a question or two, but wanted to mention the private sessions that Lyneah is going to offer through November. And so if you are interested in one of those, some of the wonderful things that you had shared with us, what can be expected are to clear out energies that no longer serve you, get a past life review and clearing, reach higher levels of understanding regarding personal circumstances and situations, which is very, very beneficial, and connect with frequencies to support your process of ascension. Can I ask a question? And that kind of nudges me in my mind about two things: the connecting with the frequencies, and how talk a little bit about ascension and how this is tied to a little bit more about how it's tied together.
Well, in my practice before I met the Stargate, I had some healers, some of them are people you know from North Carolina, come into my office and say, I am tired of this dimension. I want to ascend, and I want to ascend now. And the answer was always the same. You don't get to ascend individually anymore. Ascension is a group process right now. It is something that we need to do together. And I have been looking for a group to work with to bring energies together. And this group has done that for me. The leaders of this group live fairly simple lives. They are not extravagant at all. They plow all of their money back into what they're doing because their hearts are in the right place. They are here to help us move toward ascension. And ascension is when we leave third dimension and we move into a fifth dimensional frequency where we live by love and mutual respect and support and creativity. So we will be leaving behind fear and control and things of that sort. So that's what I see the ascension process as. And I see it as something that we go into gradually. It's not something that happens all at once. We do have to release our patterns. We have to leave behind our hurts and our traumas. I recently became aware of shards of glass in my jaw that related to a time when my mom backhanded me. It was an unusual situation. I called my little brother a name and she just whapped me one with her hand. She was standing next to me ironing. And I was aware of the situation and I had worked it through on an intellectual level back then. I was 12 years old. I wasn't a little kid anymore. But I hadn't worked through the energetics of the trauma. And when I saw these shards of glass and asked what they were, that's what they were. They were from that trauma. And because I was in this intensive experience, they were coming up to be cleared. So I called on Saint Germain and worked on clearing these shards of glass. And I had some difficulty with an abscessed tooth the past few weeks, and that has cleared up since the shards of glass are gone. And my jaw was feeling off center. It's back on center. It was just like, whoa, whoa, when I finally got to the underlying cause of what all that was about and went into the quantum field in meditation and allowed it to release, that's gone and all the physical symptoms are gone. And I think we have to work through those things. And sometimes we can do it by ourselves, and sometimes we need others to help us.
All right, thank you. And I did see a hand go up, Susie Fong.
Hello. I just have a question about the releasing and the traumas. Do we have to relive all of the traumas in order to release them?
We don't anymore. No, the time for all the pain and suffering is actually over. We just have to catch up with that reality. A lot of us who are healers who have worked, the past 30 years working through traumas and pains for our clients, that's no longer the current protocol. And no, we don't have to go through all of them. Sometimes it depends on your life plan. It depends on your choices that you made when you came in this lifetime. If it's something that you need to become conscious of, then yes, you have to become conscious of it. So there's no one answer for everybody in this way. But I see more and more people being able to just let go and release. I did not have to go through the trauma and pain with the glass shards. I recognized what they were. I called in help, vacuumed them out, and they left. And I didn't feel, the pain. But what I felt was the realignment of my jaw, which I'm very happy about. Now, I don't know any dentist who could have helped me with that one. People kept telling me, you need to go to the dentist. You need to go to the dentist. I'm like, no, because the dentist is just going to take this tooth out and I'm not losing this tooth. So at this point, I'm not losing the tooth. But I didn't actually have to suffer through all the pain. I had to recognize that it was entrapped, and it was entrapped in this form that showed up for me as glass shards. And when I got them out, then it was gone. And I'm not feeling the trauma. I'm not feeling the pain. I'm not feeling anger at my mother. My mother was a wonderful person. I mean, this was a very unusual situation, and she felt badly about it too. And I could actually feel her release in the spirit world because I'm also working with releasing back through the generations. I think generational clearing is really important.
Excellent. Well, I think we may have, those might be all our questions. Is there anyone else with a question tonight? All right. Well, thank you so much, Lyneah, for your talk. I thank you for sharing your time with us.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much. Bless everyone. I've got goosebumps head to toe. My purpose in doing this is to help with the ascension. So if it helps you with your ascension process, then I've achieved my goal.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I will just close with, we got just a closing moment that about your sessions that you will be offering in November. Also join us in December for Sonny Johnston with Healing with Angels, and in January with Philip Young for the astrology forecast for the year. And again, I would like to thank you, and I hope everyone has a wonderful night. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Good night. Nice
Thank
to
you.
see some of
Bye.
you I haven't seen in a long time.
Thank you, Lyneah.